Lauren Fonvielle, welcome to the Positioning to Profit podcast. I'm super happy to have you because I love this topic and I know that this is going to hopefully enlighten people as to the power of what you talk about. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you and have this conversation today.
Thank you. And before anyone's, what is this about? It's about emotional freedom technique. Now, if you've never heard about it before, Lauren, will you please enlighten people a little bit about emotional freedom technique and how you coach on it?
Yeah, sure. So emotional freedom technique, it's also referred to as EFT. Sometimes people refer to it as tapping. And when I describe it to people, I often describe it in comparison to acupuncture, simply because people are more familiar with acupuncture. So when you go to an acupuncturist, they take those tiny little needles and they put them in at certain points of your body. And the points that they're putting them in at are the end points of the meridians. And now with tapping, what we're doing is applying light acupressure. So no needles, just by lightly tapping on some of these same points. And in doing so, it helps to get energy moving. It helps to send messages to the brain, and it can help with a wide variety of conditions, anything from anxiety and stress to limiting. And I think as entrepreneurs, we can all relate to that. And those negative thoughts that we can get stuck in our head and cycle over and over again. And we don't want to stay there. We want to grow. We want to feel good. We want to feel confident in our business. And this has been a tool that has been an absolute game changer, not only for me personally, but then also for so many of my clients.
I love it. Can you explain, or how did you get into this? Why emotional freedom technique, right? Why did you decide to plant your flag here in this particular?
Yeah, it was really an organic process that led me to this point. There was a period in my life where I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and stress. We had just moved to a new state. I had left my corporate marketing job and I was starting a freelance business. And then we got notified that my husband was going to have to deploy again. And it really came out of left field. I started having panic attacks and I needed to figure out how to feel better. And ultimately, I went on this journey of self-discovery and I became a yoga teacher, a Reiki practitioner, and was introduced to tapping. And that's where my mind was just blown by the practice. And I just continued to study it and went on to get certified so that I could share it with other people, and really combined it with my marketing background to help entrepreneurs to get unstuck.
I love it. I love the transition into your career. That's exactly what my background was in corporate, and I used to live so perpetually stressed out. When I had first heard about EFT back in 2003, and it was because due to a childhood trauma, I stuttered severely, really bad, and I couldn't say certain name or words that began with certain letters. And at any rate, I went into this therapy program. It was in 2003, and one of the components was EFT. And I'd never heard about it. So here I am, 2003. I'm like, what is this? What am I doing? It just seems so simple. And at the same time, I was like, this can't possibly work. I started using it in my in my job, because I'd be in these situations where were really stressful. And then I started using it, but it worked. And I was so grateful for that. But then in my head, I was like, okay, this is a fluke. Is it real? But let me tell you where became fully convinced. So I have two sons, and my one son has a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff. And this one time he was particularly having a hard time. This is about 2 years ago. And then he was just in this full-on panic attack. His hands were really cold and he was just shivering. And then all of a sudden I said, okay, I'm gonna do EFT with him. So I looked it up, and there's a very prominent EFT person on YouTube, and he just came up. And then we did it, and literally it was like as if a balloon gets popped and just starts to totally diffuse. And then I was like, oh my God, like his body temperature changed, his overall demeanor changed. It was the most astounding thing I had ever seen. And so then I'm like, how do you feel? Does it feel better? I'm like, do you want to do it again? So then we did another thing, and then that was it. It was gone. My point in
Wow.
saying this is, if you're listening to this, please listen to what Lauren is saying, because it works. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Oh, I love that story. That's amazing. And what the thing is that you can be skeptical. So if people are
Yeah.
listening to this and this idea of, okay, I'm going to tap on myself, I'm going to talk
Yeah.
out loud, and then I'm going to feel better and I'm not going to feel stuck anymore. That sounds crazy. It sounds out there,
No.
but because there is science behind this about what's happening inside of your body, you can be skeptical and this can still work for you. You just need to be open to really tuning in to what you're feeling. You have to be able to acknowledge how you're feeling and allow yourself to go there. And then learning the points, that's the easy part. But it's really this process of peeling back the layers to get to the root of what's really going on. Because a lot of the time we can get triggered by certain things. And we often will blame that thing that just happened as to why we're feeling so angry or so anxious or so stressed. But more times than not, and I'm going to say almost 99% of the time, it's not just that thing that happened that just triggered you that's bothering you. It's all these other things that you have suppressed and pushed down and have not acknowledged over time that is building up inside and causing you to feel the way that you're feeling or think the way that you're thinking. And this is a gentle tool that helps you really get to the root of that so you can let it go and then move forward. And that's what we all really want in business, right? We want to have the success and to feel good doing it. And it all starts with our thoughts, which impact our feelings, and our feelings impact our actions. And then our actions are going to impact our results.
Yeah, it's so astounding. It's incredible. And I would definitely endorse it for the use of entrepreneurship because think about it. You've been in corporate. And so you know what it's like to be in a job environment and then in the entrepreneur space. It's so different. It's two very different spaces. And I can tell you for me, it's like initially when I first quit my job, I was like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. How am I going to make money? Because it's such a different thing. In your work, every 2 weeks, no matter what, you get a paycheck, right? And then it's just easy. Oh, I don't feel like working today. You're still going to get a paycheck if you're on salary. But when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you have to create new money. Like it's up to you. And I find that to be that ebb and flow of how people feel when they have the stress come up. I'm not making any money, or oh my God, I have to close this coaching package. Otherwise, I'm not going to make rent this month or what have you. Or if they're in a situations where they're really putting themselves out there. So can you share a story of a client that you've helped that was in that space, completely bogged down with stress and or anxiety, and how you helped him or her and what it's like now, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. So the first story that comes to mind is a client who was an accountant. She was working in a corporate office and she felt she was unhappy in her job. She was always stressed out, always anxious, worried about what was going on, the relationship with her boss. And so she came to me because of all this anxiety and stress that she was experiencing and wanting to see if tapping could help her. And so we start there, right? We start with, okay, all of this anxiety and stress that I'm experiencing at work. And she would tell me different things that were happening at work. And we would use the words from what she was describing to come up with phrases. And then we tap on the different points of the body. And that kind of evolves. So something that can feel really stressful, this meeting that she just got out of. And then as we continue to go through the tapping points, some other thought will come up of something else that was bothering her. And tapping organically works like that. It goes from one thought to the next. And so we did a lot of work around her feelings at work, feeling like she didn't have a voice, so that she wasn't heard. And then interestingly, and this happens a lot with my clients, a lot of the reasons why we feel the way we feel have to do with these past experiences that we've had. And a lot of this went back to childhood and feeling that she couldn't speak up and that she had to be quiet and act a certain way. And so we did a lot of tapping on past experiences that she started to remember as we were tapping on these things that were happening currently in her life. And we have been working together now for 2 years, and over 2 years, I think now we've been working together. And the transformation that has happened in that time has been astounding. About 6 months in, she decided that she was going to leave her job. And between then, from the time we started until then, she was able to feel comfortable voicing her opinion and speaking up more and sharing her thoughts. And then she got to the point where I'm going to leave. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to follow what I want to do. She left that job. She has gone into a completely different industry. She has written a book and she is starting her own business. And the confidence, it's like just such an amazing transformation. And to be able to help someone access that, right? Because I'm always someone who says we have the answers within. We know what we need. It is all there. And sometimes we just need a little help. We just need a little help accessing it. And so to be able to guide her through that process was truly an honor. And I am so grateful to have had that experience with her.
I love that. And I think the thing that's really important that you opened my eyes to just now is the fact that it's all of these repressed situations, stories, things that have happened that you stack up that has caused this moment where you have that stress or anxiety or what have you. And it's like you have to go through the layers of that. I'm paraphrasing what you said, but that was really powerful because it's not just a band-aid approach. It's really doing the deeper work to reconcile. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's important because it's easy to just, to your point, to go on YouTube or whatever, and be like, oh, let me just do that. But your work is deeper. It's about the depth of, I don't want to say fixing, but it's like healing, right? I think it's
Yes.
really healing.
Yeah, because all of these experiences that we've had in our lives have emotion attached to them. Some of the emotions are happy and joyful, and some of the emotions are fearful, anger, sadness, overwhelm. And those intense emotions are, we tend to classify them as good emotions, bad emotions, but they're neutral, right? There's no good and bad emotions. It is energy. So the definition of emotion is energy in motion. And our body wants to feel that emotion. It doesn't want to be suppressed. It needs to be felt so that we can move through it, and so that we can evolve. And by acknowledging these feelings, and sometimes it's literally as simple as tapping on the points and speaking out loud something that you've been thinking over and over again, because we have so many of those same thoughts every single day, and they can feel really true. But when you start to tap and say it out loud, you get some distance from it, you get some perspective from it, and it starts to feel differently. And that can be those aha moments of, wait a second, what's happening? I don't feel as anxious about this particular thing right now. I don't know why. That seems almost silly to me, or I feel a little confused by that right now. All very common things, because you're just creating that space so you can begin to look at it a little bit differently, and then we feel differently.
Okay, so we're talking about emotional freedom technique. If you're just catching this, we're like, wait a minute, what was this? So emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT. And if you're listening and you've never heard of it, you're probably thinking, okay, how long does it take? Are the results going to last? So what do you say to the common questions that you get when people are first introduced to all this?
Yeah. So the answer is it really depends, right? It depends on how long has this been an issue. If we're talking about a fear or a limiting belief that has been with you for a really long time, it's probably going to take a little bit longer to get to the root of where that came from and to be able to release it. If it's something newer, then it might not take as long. And it really is also dependent upon how open you are to, like I said earlier, tuning into your body, and also thinking about things in a different way. And an example comes to mind. I had a client who was experiencing physical pain, because this is a tool that can also help with physical pain. And I think physical pain can go hand in hand with anxiety and stress, right? So when you're feeling really stressed out, sometimes you start to have like neck and shoulder pain or tension in your body, or you get lots of headaches. And thinking about, how is this thought or feeling serving you in some way? And sometimes people's immediate reaction to that is like, it's not serving me. I'm ready to be healed. I'm ready to feel good. But if you allow yourself to go there, is there some sort of benefit that I'm getting from this? And sometimes the fear or the anxiety is a way of protecting us from something else. Allowing yourself to be open in that way, to explore these different things. And another thing that can happen when we're tapping, like we just talked about, is that you can have a thought of a memory of something from your past. And then our logical mind wants to be like, that's not related. This memory of me when I was in first grade is not related to why I'm so stressed out at work, right? But oftentimes there's a connection there, and it's this process of connecting the dots. And maybe it was something that a teacher said to you that got ingrained in that subconscious mind, and that has been built upon and shoved down for over a long period of time. And that thought is coming up for a reason. So being open to exploring whatever comes to mind as you're going through the process is really important too.
Really important work. And then how long do the results last?
Yes. So the result, you can get to a point where you're free of the negative thought or of the pain. You can get there where it's gone for good. But I often give the description of gardening. If you just garden once, those weeds are probably going to come back next year.
Right.
So there's like maintenance work. And so it can be a form of self-care that you do. And for me, when I would get really stressed out, my TMJ would flare up and I would have a lot of pain in my neck and jaw and shoulders. And so now when I start to feel any sort of physical sensation, I'm like, okay, my body's speaking to me. What's going on? There's something else going on because it's being exacerbated by everything else that's in my life. So it's an indicator. So you can use this tool and continue to do the work. It's not a one and done. That's the thing. It's not a one and done, but you can get to a point where you find that release. You just might not have to do some maintenance on it.
I love it. As I mentioned, I'm a big fan of EFT. It has helped me personally. It's a tool that I have. Highly recommend the work that it can do. It was hugely impactful for my son, a teenager. Like so many people at that age are just like, no, that's not going to work. Now he's just relies on it so much.
Oh,
I love it. I love what you're doing. I think it's such important work. So highly recommend. Okay, so as we are turning the corner, we're going to go to the fast 5 questions, and I want to ask you if you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay, so just answer organically whatever comes to mind. Question
Okay.
number 1. What would make this year a great year for
Helping more people, introducing more people to tapping.
Excellent. Question 2. What do you wish you had known when you started out this adventure of entrepreneurship?
I wish I had known, this is a good one. I wish I had known that all of the answers are within and that I know what I need to do, and also to ask for help, like to ask for help and support. And I wish I had been introduced to tapping like from the get-go. I feel like that would have been really helpful.
I love that. What is one thing that inspires you?
My children inspire me. They always are inspiring me to do more, learn more, and yeah, so appreciative of them and also being able to see life through their eyes.
Agreed. What cool tool have you discovered lately that has made your life that much better?
I have rekindled my love with sound healing, and I play some crystal alchemy singing bowls and starting to get back into that and offer classes with that, and it's stuff.
I love it. We have some here at home and it's very zen. It's funny. We put them on and even our dog, she's just like, what?
Yes. The dogs totally chill
They
out. I love that.
I know. It's the funniest thing. Okay. And last question after all is said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy to be. Oh, I guess I want people to, when they think of me, to know that I was passionate about the work that I did and that I really cared about others, and I'm there to serve and to help them.
That's beautiful. Lauren, tell people how they can engage with you to find out more about your integrative energy healing, EFT tapping for stress, anxiety, and trauma. I love the work you're doing. I think it's so important. So please do share how people can connect.
Yes. So my website is mindshiftwithlauren.com. And you can also find me on Instagram if you look for Mindshift with Lauren. And I have a free masterclass on my website. So if you're curious about learning more about, I go into a lot more of the science behind why this works, how it works, and then you get to experience it for yourself. So if you want to give that a try, you can find that at mindshiftwithlauren.com/masterclass. And then I have a specific freebie for entrepreneurs. And recently I launched this group a couple of months ago. It's called Tapping into Business Success. And so it's a free tapping group that meets once a month for entrepreneurs to come together and share whatever business struggle they're having. And then we tap through it live together. And so if you're interested in getting reminders about when those classes are, you can sign up for that at mindshiftwithlauren.com/tap-into-success.
Tap into success. Okay, so all these links are going to be on the show notes page. So do make sure to connect with Lauren. Her main website is mindshiftwithlauren.com. So definitely check it out. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Continued success to you. Love the work that you're doing. And yeah, keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.